everyone, welcome to Tech Friday. We are going to be talking about some special or some window regulators, but before we do that, I just want you all to know that we're here to answer your tech questions. So any questions that you have, go ahead and type them in, and we're here to help out you guys. All right, Frank, so what you got?
So today we've got power window conversion kits. We've got a version that you get the two-door regulators and switches for that, or you can get a four-window power window kit with the two rears and the two fronts. And when you purchase these, you get the full kit here that'll come with the harness, the conduits for the doors, and then the two switches. This kit here is for the two-door kit here. So you're going to have a two toggle switch for the driver's door and a single for the passenger door. So more for like a sedan delivery or maybe a 150 businessman's coupe that's going to not have back quarter windows that roll down. Or you can leave stock regulators in the back and just have power up front, up to you. Or Nomads also. Where this kit's going to have 3 switches included in this kit. It's going to have a 4 toggle switch for the drivers and then 3 singles for the other 3 windows. Wanted to kind of go over these here, the door ones. They actually are bolt-ins. All you got to do is pull out your old regulator. Now, usually to get your old regulator out, you do got to undo your vent window assembly to get it past it. But if, you know, it's doable, you don't have to take the whole vent window out. You can squeeze it by. Then from there, you can just about leave the glass in there because this replaces the original one. It completely bolts in, no holes need to be drilled in the doors. All the rollers are attached, riveted on for you, ready to go. Now, the rear quarter window regulators, they normally ask you to drill 2 new holes. So they'll have a template to line up with the 2 bottom holes in your quarter panel, and then you're going to drill 2 more holes down below. So it's kind of like moving the regulator down lower into the quarter panel. Other than that, it's a complete bolt-in too, hooks up to the original window as well. Then you got the full harness that's pre-wired for you to run through the entire car and get hooked up into the switches. Any questions yet?
Nope. Seems like we've got a lot of people watching, but we're waiting for some questions, you guys.
Yeah, you guys can ask questions about the windows, or you can ask any questions about anything else. It doesn't have to be pertaining to
actually, we do have one. Steve wants to know if we sell the nylon rollers.
Yes, the nylon rollers that are riveted on here. There's actually 2 different size rivets. The rollers are all the same. Everything except for a 4-door hardtop, they're all the same. But GM contracted more than one company to make the regulators back in the 50s, and for some reason some regulators is going to have a 1/4 inch rivet on the backside and some are going to have 5/16. So if you're not sure, if it's too much trouble to check, you can always buy the bigger size, and if it happens to be the 1/4 inch, you can drill it out to 5/16. If not, we've got both sizes in stock usually, and I think they're only around $3 or $3.50 a piece, I believe. But yeah, we definitely got them, and even these would probably take a stock roller if one was to go bad while you have it.
All right, great, thank you, he says. All right.
So probably the most difficult part of actually doing power windows is actually putting the conduits into your doors. I've done enough of them to where it doesn't take too much, but you got to figure your door jamb doesn't have a lot of room to get a hand drill in there. You almost have to use let's say a unibit, which is a very short drill bit. It's a step drill, and a angle drill. The drill motor itself needs to be an angle style one, very short. Either that or you're going to be forced to take the doors off. There is instructions in here on how to mark the door and the door jamb. I usually use the factory location for the factory power window conduits. And that's another thing too, you can always, we do sell factory style conduits separately in the catalog, like original, if you don't want to use these. But these work good too. And these only require a simple round hole, whereas the original conduits, they actually require a large oval shaped hole that's really big, and most people don't care for that. Only people that really want it to look original are gonna want one of those. But these here, I've done these switches even with door panels already finished, where I pulled out an original regulator, and I was able, so far every one I've done, I was able to take the round hole where the window crank came out of and square it up for a switch to go in there. So the guy didn't have to reupholster his doors. The only thing you have to watch out for is what's behind the door skin. The one that's most difficult is a 4 toggle switch. It's going to be quite long, and there's an internal brace in the door that you will run into trying to get this bigger switch in there. I think the 2 switch one is not too much of a problem, and of course singles are easy. So it's doable too, if the upholstery is already done. I've done it a handful of times.
Okay, quick, sorry to interrupt you,
Yeah.
but Joe has a question. On a 57 Chevy, I can't find the double thread that holds the chrome piece on the hood. Where can I find them? So he's looking for the double thread that holds the chrome piece on the hood.
Okay, I think you're talking about the hood bar, and you're just talking about the threaded rods. There's little threaded studs on the back side of there that slide through the nose of the hood, and you put a nut on the other side. You can buy all thread rod, and you'll have to cut it up in your own little 1.5-inch pieces, but you can go into almost any hardware store, Lowe's or Home Depot, and go to their bolt section, and they'll usually have a little section with 2 foot or 1 foot, 2 foot, and 3 foot rods of steel, and there's usually a section where you can get as short as 1 foot of all thread rod, and you'll just have to cut it up in pieces. If you go to the right, maybe overall hardware type place, you might be able to find them already pre-cut.
Okay, great. I hope that answers your question. Okay, so Mike wants to know, I'm planning on putting power steering on my 56 210 sedan. Would like to move the alternator to the passenger side and have seen them mounted that way, but can't find where you sell them. Do you know if you sell them or who does?
Yeah, usually the alternator gets moved to the passenger side most of the time when you run a long water pump. Chevrolet put it on the passenger side when they switched to long pumps. And what we have in our catalog is actually to move the alternator back to the driver's side on a long water pump setup. If you mount the alternator up high enough, you can put a power steering pump down below it. That's very typical, because you kind of want to leave the passenger side open for an AC compressor. You wouldn't want to put the AC compressor all the way over on the driver's side, because then you got hoses going from one side of the car to the other. I'm sure if it's a short water pump, there's a possibility that Bill's Hot Rod Brackets does make one for a V-belt system to move it to the passenger side, but I I would say we would have to special order it because I don't believe we carry it on the shelf.
Okay, so I hope that answers your question. If not, let us know. Also, too, he says here he has another question. I see where you can buy a stock manual steering box with a 6-to-1 ratio that makes better steering if you want to keep it manual. But do you have any experience with that box?
Yes, we've had the quick ratios at one time. We don't have complete boxes anymore. The company Borgeson, I believe, still has them, but they don't have cores anymore to be able to sell us complete boxes rebuilt and ready to go. I'm sure if you gave them a box for a core, they can rebuild it for you. The quick ratio, personally, I have not put one in a car. Everybody that's asked me to do any kind of steering has always wanted to convert to power. I've even thought about it though. Years and years ago I thought about it, but with the new power steering boxes and the technology at them, in comparison money-wise, yeah, nobody wants to stick the same amount of money into a manual steer box as what it would cost to do power steering. And today's power steering boxes are a lot nicer technology-wise. If it was, 15 years ago, then I'd probably say, yeah, I'd do the manual box, because the power steering conversions back in those days had a lot of issues. If it were not a leak, it might be a binding issue. They just weren't that great. So for the money, it was a little bit better to go manual. But today, you don't see too many people wanting to go and stick with the manual. But I know those quick ratio boxes are kind of pricey.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, let's see here. For 55 210 wagon, did Chevrolet use a press-in or threaded stud and nut to hold on the body and window seamless?
That was a wagon?
Let's see here. For 55 210 wagon.
Yeah, so the small trim that's around the roof line and the trim that was down below the windows, which is called the belt line, it goes all the way around. It's about 3/4 of an inch tall. They actually, I've seen a variety of wagons, and usually anything mid 55, 50, all the 56s, all 57s, they used a majority of push-in clips on the doors, and at each end of those trim moldings is a screw-on plate that ties the molding down tight. And then once you get past the door, or doors, if it's a 4-door, the above clips, above the quarter windows, are actually clips that are screwed on with a sheet metal screw, and then the molding is snapped onto those clips. But at the bottom, it's odd, they kept the push-in clips on the bottom. Why they mix-matched two different types of clips, I'm not sure. When you get to the lift gate, both top and bottom is usually screwed on and to the body, and then the molding snaps onto them. So there's two different styles. The two screw-on clips actually are going to be two different lengths as well. Other than that, I've only seen 155. It must have been an early production where I believe all the clips were identical on the entire car, which was kind of odd.
Okay. All right, guys, these are great questions. Keep them coming in. We're here for about another 15 minutes. So. Okay.
So another thing that we carry is some replacement switches. Now these replacement switches are not made by the company that makes these power windows. It's a different company. The switches do look more like an original switch, whereas the switches that come with these are more of like a 70s GM switch.
So if you want, you should buy these separately then.
Well, these are sold separately, but unfortunately they're not going to work with these windows without doing some rewiring. These switches here, and I'll explain, this is really important. All of our power window kits are somewhat like the newer cars, where the motors are dual polarity. They have positive and ground, and as you feed power and ground into the motor one way, the window's going to go down. You flip-flop positive and negative, which is all in the switch, it goes up. Now these switches here were made for the earlier original power windows and very few aftermarket power windows, where the motor itself is self-grounded. So technically the inputs are two positive wires that are flip-flopped back and forth by the switch. So it's not got a ground wire. The actual motor is grounded to the door. So if the regulator wasn't bolted to the door, it wouldn't even work. But because of that, this internal part of the switch is designed different. You can't feed it, you don't have a connection for a ground at all on these switches. Now there is a way, we're looking into kits that could be ordered that would go between the switch and the motor to actually make these work on these motors. It's a certain kind of relay pack that would be able to work with the ground and positive and actually make these things work. And when you buy these, you got to buy the matching pigtail though with these, because the pins are not going to be the same either. So you have to put a pigtail onto your harness to plug into the back of the switch, which we try to keep all the pigtails in stock with the switches. So again, these work with original power windows from GM and some aftermarkets. It just won't work with the power window kits that we carry from a different manufacturer. And then we should be also soon getting replacement switches. Some of these switches are upside down in this pack here, but they're all chrome. They're just more square than the one I just showed you. Any questions?
No, not coming in. Come on, guys.
Everybody's watching, but nobody's got any questions. And like I said, you can ask questions about something else other than the power windows. You don't have to ask on the power windows. But again, on these power windows, these are fairly easy. I mean, I've done a handful of these and I've been happy with them. And the warranty's good on them. If you have any issues with a motor, a rivet, or anything, the manufacturer will help you out on it. They usually take care of our customers on something like that. Because I mean, every so seldom you may get a motor that either don't work, or it actually will work for a few weeks and then all of a sudden it starts giving you a little trouble. It happens occasionally, but not too often. These have been probably the most dependable power windows we've ever carried. And they're all USA made too. These are.
And does it matter if you have a 55 or a 56 or a 57? Can you still use which one? I mean, do you have to use a particular one, or?
No, these are sold by the model of the car, not by the year. So,
right.
So if it's a 55 two-door sedan, it's going to also fit in a 57 two-door sedan.
Okay.
They're pretty much the same throughout the 3 years, but we do have ones for Nomads and sedans and the actually convertible too. But what they don't sell right now is a bolt-in kit for a 4-door sedan or a 4-door hardtop. And I tell you, the 4-door hardtops regulators are so far different than any of the other cars. I don't know of not one company in the world actually reproducing any kind of regulator that's going to fit in a 4-door, unfortunately.
So then what do you do?
So you have to track down original.
Oh,
GM,
that must be hard.
Yeah, GM did make them for the 4-door hardtops, 56 and 7s. I'm sure they're very rare. Now for the 4-door sedan and the 4-door wagon, we do have a universal kit, which we probably should have had out here. It's a completely different type of regulator. It's universal for a flat glass car that the glass is not, got any curvature in it, just goes straight up and down. It's not going to be a complete bolt-in. I mean, there's going to be some work involved putting them in, but they do work really good, and they're made by the same company. If you were to buy we also got a kit for a two-door sedan or two-door wagon that is for when you eliminate your vent windows. The vent window delete has the channel for the front of the fur channel at the front of the door. Once you get rid of the vent window, they give you those in the kit, and it's a universal power window kit, but they tell you where you need to cut, where you need to mount the bracketry on the door, so it gets all your configuration done for you for the glass rolling up to the top and making sure it goes all the way down to the bottom of the door. They're going to be definitely more time consuming than these, but they
I was
work.
going to say, how long does it take to put these in, to install one, approximately?
You know, per door you could probably put, or per window you could probably put these in as quick as an hour or less per window regulator. But what's a little bit more time consuming is getting these conduits put in. Like I said, if you can't get the holes drilled without taking the doors off, unfortunately after you mark the door and the door jamb, you'll need to take the door off to do it easier. But if you do, like I said, have a good small angle drill and a short enough bit, you can actually get the holes drilled for these. It's just difficult to do it around your paint job, and you got to take your time to do it.
Okay. Troy has a question. Troy says, does Danchuk still stock the 56 Chevy amber rear backup lenses so us Aussies can use the light as an indicator?
Good question. I don't know if we do or not. I want to say we may not on the backup lenses because they are licensed by Chevrolet for us to have a guide logo on them, and it's because of that, and it's not original. We use the guide logo on our lenses to be more original. And if not, we would have to make a whole new tooling. So Chevrolet doesn't want to license anything other than original, which was clear, unfortunately. Yeah, we did have some red ones and amber ones for a short time until they told us to take them off the market.
Okay. All right.
Now, we do have the front amber still. We do got the front turn signal in amber still.
Okay.
It's only the rear.
Okay. Thanks, Troy. All right, guys, keep the questions coming. We're only here for another 8 minutes or so. So you go ahead and we're here to answer your tech questions, you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
If you guys had any more questions about the power windows too, we probably should have gotten a no vent window regulator out here, because it doesn't run off of gears. It actually runs off of a cable. It's a completely different one where the glass slides up and down a track with a cable driving it. So there's not a big motor on the side. It's actually a motor that's down below, and so it runs completely different. It's actually the reason you can't get this to work in a no vent window. Believe me, I tried. The motor on these set just beyond the bottom side of your vent window. So you get rid of the vent window, and now you got a big piece of rectangular glass in there. The glass needs to go into the door exactly where the motor is. That's why it won't work. You can do manual window regulators with no vent windows. You just can't do this particular one with the motor on it. So your universal power window regulator has the motor elsewhere in the door, so it doesn't interfere.
Okay. All right, guys. We're here to help you out. Let's get those questions coming.
Yeah, we need a couple more questions before we leave. And then if you guys have any more questions later on, I mean, feel free. We've got, some people on the phones that should be able to answer your questions. And then we'll try to get, maybe next time we'll have some other different power windows. We'll try to do the actual no vent window one, or the universal ones. Because see, on the sedan, four-door sedans, four-door wagons, you can use the universal kits. Like I said, it's just going to be a little bit more time consuming, but they work just as well as these once they're installed. They roll up and down just as good. You'll get the same type of switch kit, same wiring kit, and if it's for a four-door, you'll get 2 sets of conduits, a set for the front doors and a set for the back doors as well.
Well, we'll just be here for another few minutes. We'll just hang out,
Yep.
and maybe you guys will come up with a question. We're open on Saturdays now from 8 to 2, so you can come on down and visit us and pick up your parts here. And yeah.
Yeah, and you guys, we got the glass for all of your needs too. We've got no vent window glass. I believe it's not in the catalog, but we do carry, can get no vent window glass for a four-door sedan front door, which also fits the four-door front door on the wagon as well. So I know they're not in the book this year, but we'll be getting them in there, and I can get it any time now. You don't see too many four doors out there with no vent windows. They're pretty rare, but we can do get them. And matter of fact, I think my four-door wagon's going to have no vent windows in it, something just a little different. The door on a four-door is really short, so believe it or not, when you eliminate the vent window in the front door, the door glass actually is almost exactly the same size as the back door glass. So kind of makes the front door not look so short anymore once you get rid of it.
Okay, Michael wants to know, doing a body off restoration and using a rotisserie for the body. It's a four-door hardtop with a solid no rust body. Does it need bracing added like a convertible?
Definitely. Even two-door hardtops need a lot of bracing. If you don't, the body will twist. Even sedans, and they actually twist a little bit too, but I have seen experience with the two-door hardtop getting all out of shape. So you need to brace up probably both door jambs, front and rear. You're gonna probably have to brace even, I've seen where they've taken a piece of tubing and tack weld it to the roof line and down to the quarter panel, which on your car would be the post between the two doors. Yeah, you do need to brace it up because it will get out of shape on you, and then you're gonna, if you had to do any work to the body while it's off, it's gonna give you a hard time.
Okay, so Trey from Australia, he has a business called the Chevy Shed, and he wants to know, do you know if the DA883 horn kit will work in the Flaming River steering column?
Well, the 883 is your horn kit for the original steering wheel. So that stuff you're going to use, not all of it. So there's actually going to be 2 kits you're going to use to get an original steering wheel onto an I Did It. If that's what you're trying to do, there's a part number, I believe it's 13297 from I Did It. That is a horn kit that allows you to use the 883 in combination with each other to get the horn ring to work on the steering wheel and the steering wheel to work onto the column. So it's eliminating the contact from the 883, and it's eliminating the spring plate from the 883, but you got to have everything else. And then the kit from I Did It gives you a new spring plate, and it gives you a different style of contact that goes down into the I Did It column. which is technically the canceling cam in a late model column. But I did it instructions. We'll go through all that with you and give you all the heads up on what needs to be done to make that all work.
Okay, Troy, so I hope that helps. All right, guys, we're out of time. It looks like there's no more questions coming in, but I just want to remind you, if you come up with a question throughout the week, you can always email it to us and to our, I think it's our tech. Do we have a specific email, like for the tech line?
I
the
think
Tech Fridays?
believe it has to go through custserv, CUSTSERV.com. I think if you do it through that, that will go to a tech.
Okay.
They answer the questions.
Well, too, and throughout the week, if anything comes up and you want us to answer it for next time, let us know, or you can just call us too. Okay, guys, so thanks for joining us today, and thank you, Frank, for going over these windows regulators, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
We'll be back in 2 weeks.